Shalom, brothers and sisters, back with another video. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the Sabbath, the fourth commandment, right? What we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing on the Sabbath, right? So I want to start in Genesis, and it says, Genesis chapter 2, verses 1 through 3. It says, "Thus the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. By the seventh day, God completed his work which he had done, and he abstained on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, and on it he abstained from all his work which God created to make." All right, so we see the Sabbath was first instituted in Genesis in the beginning, starting with our Father Yah, as he worked and created all that we see, all the heaven, all the earth, in a 6,000 year period. And in that seventh year, he rested from all his work and all his creating. All right, now let's go to Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. It says, verse 8, remember the Sabbath day to sanctify it. 6 days shall you work and accomplish all your work. But the seventh day is a Sabbath to Yah, your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your animal, and your convert within your gates. For in 6 days Yah made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them, and he rested on the seventh day. All right. Therefore, Yah blessed the Sabbath day and sanctified it. All right. So we see we're commanded here in the law to remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy, to sanctify it, and we're reminded of how in a 6,000 year period, Yah created all that we see in the heavens and all that we see in the earth, and in that seventh year, he rested from all his work. All right. Now, let's go to Exodus chapter 31, verse 13 through 17. Exodus chapter 31, verses 13 and 17. Sorry about that. All right. And I'm going to start at verse 12, and it says, Yah said to Moses, saying, Now you speak to the children of Israel, saying, However, you must observe my Sabbaths, for it is a sign between me and you for your generations, to know that I am Yah who makes you holy. Verse 17, Between me and the children of Israel, it is a sign forever that in a 6-day period Yah made heaven and earth. On the seventh day, he rested and was refreshed. All right, now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 5, verses 12, 13, 14, and 15. Deuteronomy chapter 5. All right, and it says, Safeguard the Sabbath day to sanctify it, as Yah your God has commanded you. 6 days shall you labor and accomplish all your work, but the seventh day is Sabbath to Yah your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your maidservant, your ox, your donkey, and your every animal, and your convert within your gates, in order that your slave and your maidservant may rest like you. And you shall remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Yah your God has taken you out from there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore Yah your God has commanded you to make the Sabbath day. All right, so we are commanded to remember the Sabbath day, remember how Yah brought us out, and any employees that we may have, any animals, working animals that we may have, service animals, they're not working on the Sabbath. The employee or the service animal is not working on the Sabbath, and you ought to remember that you were a slave as well, who needed rest from all his work, and so you must also give rest to your employees and to your service animals from all their work. All right, so now let's go to Leviticus 23, verse 1 through 3. Leviticus 23, verse 1 through 3. It says, Yah spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, Yah's appointed festivals that you are to designate as holy convocations. These are my appointed festivals. For 6 days labor may be done, and the seventh day is a day of complete rest, a holy convocation. You shall not do any work. It is a Sabbath for Yah in all your dwelling places. All right? So now we understand here that we're not to work. That means that we're not to go out and generate funds for ourselves. All right? Also, doing our own pleasure is also work. All right? But we are to remain in our dwelling place. All right? Within our dwelling place, our focus is to be on Yah. All right? Not to say that we don't get tired and don't take naps, but sleeping is not the order of the day. Neither is just sitting back watching Netflix or any other tunes we like to, any other shows we like to watch. Working in your garden, drawing, all of these things. If you play video games, all of these things are self-pleasures, all right? And Yah gets no glory out of it. What we are to spend the Sabbath doing is actually studying the Word, because we're able to now get a deeper understanding of what Yah wants from us. We are to be contemplating on, the week, how we can better serve Yah, so to speak. All right? So I want to let's go to Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. Exodus chapter 34, verse 21. It says, 6 days shall you work, and on the seventh day you shall desist. You shall desist from plowing and harvesting. See? So we're not to be in our gardens, and, if you haven't watered your flowers already, it's kind of too late, because we're not to be doing, any kind of gardening or, service work in that sense. All right, so now let's look at Exodus chapter 35 and 2. It says, on 6 days work may be done, but the seventh day shall be holy for you, a day of complete rest for Yah. Whoever does work on it shall be put to death. You shall not kindle a fire. Right, so if we can't turn on a flame or use a stove, that means that on the 6th day, you need to prepare enough food for a double day, 2 days portion. All right. It says, you shall not kindle a fire in any of your dwellings on the Sabbath day. All right. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 56, verse 2. Isaiah chapter 56, verse 2. It says, praiseworthy is the man who does this, and the person who grasps it tightly, who guards the Sabbath against desecration, and guards his hand against doing any evil. All right, so praiseworthy is the person who, guards his hand, which will also mean your heart and mind, against desecration of the Sabbath. There's a reward in that. Although we don't do it for the reward. All right, we don't obey Yah, because you're trying to get something from him. You know what I mean? You obey Yah because it's the right thing to do. All right. Now let's go to Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 21 and 22 and 27. Jeremiah chapter 17, verse 21 and 22 and 27. All right. It says, thus said Yah, beware for your souls. Do not carry a burden on the Sabbath day to bring it into the gates of Jerusalem, and do not bring a burden out from your houses on the Sabbath day. You shall not do any manner of work. Sanctify the Sabbath day as I commanded your forefathers. So we're not to be having transactions come in and out of our gates, and we're not to be, moving in and out of our gates. We are to be in the house, studying the Torah and the teachings of Yah. All right? Verse 27. But if you do not listen to me, to sanctify the Sabbath day, and not to carry a burden, and enter the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then I shall set a fire to its gates, which will consume the palaces of Jerusalem and not be extinguished. All right. So if we do not heed, all right, this is where Yah starts deducting, and your house and your things are not blessed, because you're desecrating the Sabbath. All right. Now, I want to go to Nehemiah. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 19 through 22. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 19 through 22. Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 19 through 22. It says, it happened when the gates of Jerusalem cast shadows before the Sabbath, that means they were closed, all right, that I spoke the order and the doors were closed, and I spoke the order not to open them until after the Sabbath. I stationed some of my servants at the gates so that no burden could come in on the Sabbath, so that the merchants and the sellers of every merchandise logged outside Jerusalem once and then a second time. I warned them and said to them, why do you log across from the wall? Right? Because that means that he closed the gates. They couldn't come in and nobody was going out. All right? It says, if you repeat this, I will send a force against you. From that time onward, they did not come on the Sabbath. Then I told the Levites that they should regularly purify themselves and come as guards of the gates to sanctify the Sabbath day. All right? So, again, as I told you, we're not to leave out our gates on the Sabbath. So, you got some Israelites who, think it's okay, you guys, you be out, and you're doing your street ministry on the Sabbath. You're not supposed to be outside your gates, and, some of you who go to an external building on the Sabbath, that's not okay. We're not to be outside our gates, and we're not to be going to the temple. All right, and some of you, you buy your meals, you eat out on the Sabbath. All of these things are illegal to do. Your meal should be prepared on the 6th day, and it should be enough for 2 days' portion. All right, and we're not to leave out our gates. The Sabbath is not a day where we come together. The Sabbath is a day where we actually are set apart in our individual dwelling places, right? And where we spend time focusing, giving reverence to Yah by looking at the law, the teaching of Yah, seeing where we have fell short, and seeing where we could best serve Yah in our life moving forward, all right? And try to get a better understanding of the commandments. That is what the Sabbath is for, all right? Jeremiah, what did I say? 17, verse 21 and 22. I think I read that, but I'll read it again. It says, thus said Yah, beware for your souls, do not carry a burden on the Sabbath day to bring it into the gates of Jerusalem, and do not bring a burden out from your houses on the Sabbath day. Yeah, you shall not do any manner of work, sanctify the Sabbath day as I commanded your forefathers. All right, verse 27. But if you do not listen to me, sanctify the Sabbath day, and not to carry a burden and enter the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then I shall set a fire to its gates, which will consume the palaces of Jerusalem and not be extinguished. All right, so now let's go to Exodus chapter 16, verse 5. Exodus chapter 16, verse 5. Exodus chapter 16, verse 5. And I'm going to read verse 4. This is dealing with the manna, the food from heaven. So it says, Yah said to Moses, behold, I shall rain down for you food from heaven, Let the people go out and pick each day's portion on its day, so that uh, so that uh, so that I can test them whether they will follow my teaching or not. Verse 5, and it shall be that on the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring, it will be double what they pick every day. All right, so Yah has made it so that on the sixth day, we are able to grab enough for a 2 days portion. All right, so if you don't do that, it is to your own demise that you do not have what you need to be in compliance with the Sabbath. All right. Now let's go to Isaiah chapter 58, verse 13. Isaiah chapter 58, verse 13. It says, if you restrain your foot because it is the Sabbath, refrain from accomplishing your own desires. On my holy day, let me read that again. If you restrain your foot because it is the Sabbath, refrain from accomplishing your own desires on my holy day. If you proclaim the Sabbath a delight and the holy day of Yah honored, and you honor it by not engaging in your own affairs, from seeking your own needs or discussing the forbidden, then you will delight in Yah, and I will mount you astride the heights of the world. I will provide you the heritage of your forefathers, Jacob, for the mouth of Yah has spoken. All right, so when we keep the Sabbath, Yah mounts us astride, and He promises to provide us with the heritage of our forefather Jacob. All right, if we keep the commandments, all right, and keep the Sabbath. All right. There is more on that. I will do this in parts. Try not to throw everything in the kitchen sink all in one setting. I'm going to stop there. I will do a part 2 to the Sabbath because there is more. I want to break this down from the Hebrew perspective, but just from a practical perspective, that is, on a simple side, what we need to be doing. All right. There is more in understanding. Again, I will do a part 2. All right. But in the meantime, subscribe to this channel, like this video, and comment, share, and if you guys want to support, it's CASHAPP sign beithammaqdasharison. I will also provide it in the prescription. In the description of this video. If you look at my about on my actual channel, my Cash App is also there. All support is needed. Again, any support that you guys send, it goes towards more books and more information. I have a lot of information that I am going to get around to sharing with you guys when it comes to who we are as Israelites. But again, anything that you donate is going to go towards bettering this channel, be it from the sound or the visual, what have you. It's going to contribute towards that, so that I can give you guys something that you can appreciate and provide you with more information. I do my due diligence of studying and researching. I research with the resources that I have. Again, as more resources are provided, I do use those. But my main resource is the Tanakh, and everything that I get information-wise is shined in the light of the Tanakh. Thy word have I hid in my heart, that I might not sin against thee. It also says that thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my pathway. And it also says that the Torah is perfect in restoring the soul. And so, therefore, the Torah is all that I really need. However, there are bits and pieces that can also testify to the truth of the Torah. So I do like to bring out those pieces as well. All right. Not that they are needed, because the Torah is true and can be proven without any external sources. But, however, I do use external sources as confirmation to what is written in the Torah. All right. And so, again, Thank you all for tuning into this video. Subscribe to this channel, like this video. Feel free to comment, good or bad. It's all good. I respond to it all. And I'll see you on the next video. Shalom.